Listen. All right, guys. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to do this video before I went to sleep. So you guys know that the other day, I had come into some information regarding who was playing with me in LA. So you guys know when I moved to LA, the Karmics followed me there from Atlanta, and they were causing a bunch of drama and a bunch of chaos, starting a bunch of nonsense, and just taking shit way too far. I found out who was working with them and who was helping them, right? So when I found out who was working with them and who was helping them, I was like, oh, this is very interesting. I had a very it was just very annoying to find out that this person worked in LAPD and was playing, right? But the thing here is that their hand is connected to a bunch of nonsense with like Pendleton, playing in Pelican Bay with blood in, blood out drama, and orchestrating certain things with tampering with investigations, initiating investigations against good officers so they can stall investigations. Because when you put a report with the inspector general, it delays any case that or investigation that you may currently be involved in. So what ended up happening here was I was like interested in like understanding why is this karmic playing with me? Because the inspector general's office is going to get this. Now, when we say karmic, right, a karmic is just anybody that acts in a specific type of frequency and their behavior is statistically likely to produce maldition, right? So what ended up happening was this karmic decided that she wanted to play with me so that she can like earn her womanhood. Because a lot of you guys are finding out that this is deeper than just like, I want to play with you and I work for the police. It's more about the fact that people are not high priestess. They've tried to act as high priestess. They will not be a high priestess, and it's because of their behavior and what they do. So they attack a high priestess. This is an old magic called Kwali Plali, right? And it's basically like the original damnation that gets invoked upon a woman that could have been a high priestess. So basically, what ends up happening here is specific pacts are made in space before you get your body. If I give you a body, you're going to specifically go to this state, this city, and this town and wreak havoc. Do these karmics know this? Some of them do because they found out about the virtual reality. A lot of them do not. Some of these karmics think they're like cyborgs, right? And they're on the phone with like demons in space, which are basically just banished people playing in different substance spaces and causing drama. And they thought it was cute, like people talking to them through the virtual reality, like, oh, I made you in space. Oh, I know you. Things like that. And that's what was invoking a bunch of mental illness. That got this like really rampant and out of control because they were telling them, like, oh, you have to sacrifice these children because we use a part of their essence to basically keep this specific technology going, which is a lie. They didn't want to teach them about chemical warfare and the fact that they were being anchored and half of their energy source, aka their ATP production, their electron transport chain, oxidative phosphorylation was being split in half to run like a specific type of growth factor to feed something. And then the other half was trying to feed their body. That's why this technology makes you tired. A lot of the karmics are getting sick. So what ended up happening here is there's been like a long standing game that they've played with a bunch of people. I'm not the only one. I was just the last one. Things were coming out in the virtual reality. People were talking about this. This is how I found out about this because somebody said, hey, Daisy, do you know who was playing with you in LA and what she did? This is her name. And I said, oh, okay. I went to go Google her and I said, oh, you're Van Jones' baby mama. You guys know that the karmics that were playing with me, Van Jones was his former boss. You guys have seen this white karmic. Like, who is this white man starting stuff? Why are you constantly like starting stuff? Everybody across the country is talking about this because they're like, who started this in that 37 file? So what ended up happening here was this karmic did not know that I have like deeper eyes, right? So I was like, oh, I said, oh, ooh, hmm. The first thing that I saw when I looked at her head, I said, when I looked at her face, I saw the flower that made a specific pact with like a specific universal like substance face. Like, oh, you can try to run magic and stuff like that. It's complex, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, right? The first thing I saw was the flower missing her petals above her head. I said, oh, excuse me. And then I saw a specific type of tulum. It's basically like a type of like you know when you look at the Mayan zodiac or the Aztec zodiac or whatnot, and you see like these different like totems. That's basically telling you like what type of chemical demon you got involved with to get your body, right? We're not going to talk too much about that. Some of you guys may have seen the video that I posted yesterday. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do like a longer like episode. Oh, here, let me help you. I'm gonna do like a longer episode on this and about like basically like how they got banished, how they lost their body, how all these different things like ended up happening, right? But this is what she had over her head. And I said, oh, okay. And that's let me know that this is just deep, this is way deeper than like thank you. These. She has one of these overhead. This is basically saying these are the different chemical demons that we bind it at this point in time. Each one of them means this. Each one of them has a different meaning and capacity, right? So now, when I saw that, I said, "Oh, that's very interesting. Why am I seeing this though? Because that's how far it went." The funny thing is, this was at the California Space and Science Museum in Los Angeles. So when they were doing all this nonsense, this is was getting put into the museum. How did we know that this was going to happen? This was such a coincidence. They have flyers for this all over LA, right? So then I said, oh, let me come and look at this and see which pachachua she is playing. Because they get into packs, cacao, psychedelics, ayahuasca, da 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 da, playing. That's more or less not the most important thing here. This I will do on my Patreon for those of you guys that want to learn about this. If you want to read these, you have to go ahead and get in with Yanni and Huey. It's Huey Zacoplado or Yanni Quasilai. They're mates, husband and wife. You have to go and ask them because they're over these systems if you want to read them. So now, let me see which one she got into. It's not this one. This one is basically talking about some dude that got his dick cut off because he went into a threesome with two sisters. Whoa, baby, I'm telling you, like vicious, like savage, out of control. So then what ended up happening here was I said, oh, that's really interesting that this is all like coming out. Like, so now I see like what you guys are doing and playing with, again, reproductive drama, because I told you guys how they play. So this is it, this one. She's basically saying I got involved with this Agamuzil. I gave up Zikilai, Ikluglam, Gwalim, Tululaslim, Aglugablim, Igludunum, and then I accepted 24 levels of Agludunum, aka high levels of warfare, nonsense, and chaos to go against the High Priestess in order to obtain 18 levels of Igludunum, aka the gifts of the High Priestess. So that's basically what she's saying here. And when I looked through this, something told me to look at this one specifically because I said, "Oh, I didn't know that that's what they were doing." Like, oh, I didn't know that that's like this is what I have to deal with. Like, okay, like I'm prepared, but I'm like, oh wow, you showed your true face, right? So now I said, oh, that's really interesting. I'm gonna deal with that later. Like I have something completely different to like deal with now, right? Like homework and nonsense. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys that. But there was a few stories that were coming out in the virtual reality in regards to what they were doing to fudge investigations, how their families were involved with California endowment, mainly Martha Jimenez, and they were involved in trafficking people's kids, how people would report this to the police and they would fudge investigations into police officers that were playing or leaving the scene of the crime or getting paid to keep it quiet, right? Because people did their own investigations, hired investigators, stuff like that, and then brought the information. They weren't taking it seriously. They were playing. Again, Zangunglil. Like you've taken on a specific type of like state of mind where you're constantly goofy. That's how they talk, right? So because she's in Zangunglil, there's a bunch of tanslalo, right? AKA like nonsensical spiral, mind spirals that are coming out of like your crevice. And is that your pussy or your mind? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because I have one too, but which one is which, right? Because of the flower that you got involved with. Because sometimes that's how the flower is. So, for those of you guys who want to know more about all this flower nonsense, this is not going to end up anywhere but just like in private conversations with people who were impacted because it's that serious. So, now, just give me a second. Sorry about that, right? So, now there's something more serious going on here, which is this chaos that we are like in unfolding here about what was going on in Los Angeles, investigations that were fudged, investigations that are getting created, court dockets that are getting filed because people have now found out about this. And this is the last level of a long line of chaos that's coming out, right? So that's why I said, who is this karmic part two? Some of you guys didn't know it was, oh, I didn't know that I was going that far. It makes so much sense. I'm telling you, if I read all of this, If I really sit here and read each last one of these, it's going to start a war because people are going to say, excuse me, why would you sit there and you're playing with black magic like that? And you saw her reading that, and you expect for us to sit here and think that what you did was okay? And people are missing out on this information and getting involved in certain contracts and pacts and friendships and relationships and stuff like that because they were missing information because they're playing with my YouTube channel and playing. Isn't that not how Tanisha Ong died? You guys know Tanisha Ong. She was like a makeup artist, things like that. And she passed away because she had gotten a bunch of magic done on her, et cetera, bitches playing with Cheong, et cetera. And she barely missed my page, barely missed my page. And that's one of the things that came up about people that passed away because they missed my page because of the games that were being played. Stuff like that really can get you like hit with karma. Because I've seen it too. Like I almost missed their page had I not logged in today, something like that, or had I not like used this other account. How did I not see your page? Because oh, you're shadow banned in this country, but not in this country, or like some nonsense like that, right? So this is like the stuff that's coming up now. And then on top of that, it's like, I want to know more about myself. How do I get in with Yanni and Huey? Like, oh, we can do that. Let's go kidnap a child. That's Oaxaca. And then we'll put semen in that child and start a bunch of shit. Because that's the type of nonsense that they were getting into, right? When this whole virtual reality was going on. Like, oh, those kids down there, like, oh, Soto Street, East LA, well, maybe they'll target his daughter or something like that because he didn't want to date me, stuff like that. Oh, those kids, no one's going to watch for them. I'm telling you right now because they're saying that all their family got involved with witchcraft against the black lady. Then they turned around and used it against them or and other people that were innocent. So you can go and play with their kids. And that's how this trafficking accelerated in the Spanish community because they were saying that they were doing a bunch of magic on me, but some of them were actually fighting the good fight. And they were targeting certain people to play in their cartel, play in their farm, and play with their like the transportation of like specific crops and stuff like that from Oaxaca in Mexico. So now when we talk about Zangonglil in your mind, now you see Kudwani, right? So that basically is a type of realization that comes when you realize that you're a shitty bitch. Wow, that's how they talk. So now what ends up happening here is people start to see if you can speak that and read that, what else can you do? Don't ask me. So now what's going to end up happening here is there's going to be like a long conversation about I didn't do this and you have no idea who that person is and I didn't do this in 2012 and in 2006 I didn't do that and I wasn't a part of a program that was supposed to help young black and brown kids stay out of jail and I was working for a program that was the equivalent of the Beat Within because I used to work for the Beat Within. They don't know that. It's like people that are in jail, you go visit, they write letters, they write stories. We had a newsletter, and I would type up their different stories or like a photocopy and stuff like that to make sure that their drawings and art got into the newspaper. So I know that whole network. I just didn't say anything. I wasn't involved in that program and set some nigga up to go to jail just so I can see him in my program. And that ended up creating a long line of nonsense in South Central LA that got OGZ's dad wrapped up in chaos. Oops. My family didn't wasn't involved with Martha Jimenez and her family who helped create the Bracero program, which was sterilizing Spanish people as they crossed the border to work every day in the States. I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't set somebody up with fake police reports and then amp it by saying this came to my office, somebody left this on my desk and got their whole fucking family raided and caused a bunch of drama. There's no such thing as a documentary called Killing County about Bakersfield and how a bunch of Spanish men ended up getting killed by the police because we were starting drama to play with a specific family that knew what our family did across the border. I'm not playing with brujeria, even though I have cacao ceremonies and crystals and shit like that, and curandismas and limpias all over my Instagram. Meanwhile, working for the police, yeah, I'm not an Aquarius because I swear you never found that Seven of Swords card the day before you exposed me. What you call this is called like tichantaleo, like shit that God just like farts out like this. That's nothing basic, right? So what are you talking about, right? So now let's get started. This karmic is an Aquarius. Oh yes. Ooh, Daisy, you're dealing with wow. I'm telling you, baby, they cannot match me. That's done. That Virgo in my chart, you can't match it. That's just done for. Instagram, we'll look up this karmic because you guys play too much. Mhm. So this one was the one that was playing with all the different people complaining about Drake and their sister going missing. I wasn't involved in having two women like trafficked, and one of them ended up like in Calabasas, like dead, and the other one is like in jail, and everyone's looking for her. And I was supposed to be like inspecting the jail, and she made a report, and I went back to go tell it because I knew about that cartel. Oops. Right. Looking for practitioners and causing drama. Okay. Do you see what I'm talking about? And then playing with spell work. Like I know nothing about that, like at all. It's like another one, like she had like a website or something like that and had like a bunch of stuff on there. But I just have to show you guys this because this is going to make it to the inspector general's office and they're going to talk about this and like, but we see with the magic and the way that they describe that to Zanglil, the ritual that she got into, that's exactly what they do at work because people have already complained about it. And that's when you play with so much magic that a portal opens, right? A portal that's unimaginable, unfathomable, brings the unthinkable, it's the unforgettable. And for you, it's the unescapable, right? So when people do too much, like people's kids get trafficked or children end up in sex rituals and nonsense because you're not doing your job and you're purposely starting shit, that's when the unthinkable gets started. But in the Mayan like language, I'm just gonna put myself in the Akasha so I can speak more of this. It's called a tufakalaya loalin, tufakalanwanlin, tufakalanwanlin, tufakanwanlanlin, tufakalanwanlin. You have to like twist your turn because in the language itself is like portal functions. Interesting, and that's why you could use it for like memory, which we talked about, which with X64 and X86, when you guys saw me doing all that memory stuff with the jumps, the trampolines, right? For those of you guys who watched the coding tutorials. So I'm still literally trying to wrap my mind around like, wow, this is such an interesting language. Now I see why these people love the planet, right? So now, what ends up happening here is now people are starting to see, oh, so that's what's been going on in LA. And they're playing with Nudie. Yeah, they played with that, but they all set her up behind the scenes because something ended up coming out about their families. So there's like a long setup with all of that in terms of the recording and don't help the blacks and this and that. It was a bunch of stuff that was going on. But also two things about two women that ended up getting jumped in LA back to back. And this is going to be on police record around 2014 and then 2014. And then 2016, some more drama with the courthouse with a lady named Kathy causing drama with dockets. And today was supposed to be our court date. What do you mean? I have the document right here. Well, it's not on record. Wow. That's basically like wow. Like one of them just told me that. And that's basically like, why are we still talking? Right. So some of the things that end up getting conjured, right? When karmics are playing like in their own feces, which is called like zunguao, like zunguao, zunguao, zunguao. You're playing in your own feces and you're playing the dua, right? And then you're bringing it to other people like, oh, look what I made. It's a feast, right? And then children are getting put in rituals and nonsense and stuff like that because you're doing too much. Okay. So now what ends up happening here is there's going to be more exposure because there's a certain man that was helping her. Rubbish. Rodrigo Castro Silva. This man was also playing with her. So when you want to know who was playing in LA and playing with the whole Spanish community, it was them two, and then their like families and stuff like that. But then again, the day that I exposed this Carmen, and I said, "Oh, look who I found. She plays with them because that's his old boss and that's his boss's baby mama." So they were playing in LA with the police because oh, that's not true. We have no affiliation yet, but your sister works for him. And then Seven of Swords. What is that Seven of Swords? Let's just be statistically like on point here. So we can't say that I made anything up because that will be like Guazalam, right? Which will be like Goofy, her high priestess. Why are you Guazalam? Right? Guazalam, right? So, wow, just when you do too much. So now the Seven of Swords, let's look into that. Things that white people will never be able to teach you or get from people of color, no matter how many of us you kidnap and put in clinical trials. Whoa, so back in LA riots, Zoot Suit riots, their families started all that. Zoot Suit riots, yes. Some of you guys history. I used to teach ethnic studies. That's why I know a lot about history. People don't know that because remember, I'm supposed to be a sex worker that just popped out of nowhere, texting people's phones. In Gemini season, right? Right. Rodney King riots, a bunch of other shit going on. But the biggest thing that their family helped start is like, oh, look at Sleepy, he's going speedy. Oh shit, look at Speedy, he's going local now. Oh, look at Speedy, he's getting sleepy. For those of you guys who are from the hood, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They had no idea I knew about that. Because remember, I'm some like random sex worker that just teleported onto the planet out of nowhere and just like appeared in people's lives starting shit. That's what they were telling people. And like, what about the people that you know? The people that I know, they weren't finding out about this. And the people that I do know that were finding out about this, they were emailing me and my emails and my phone were being tampered with. But remember, everyone was getting fed human meat and period blood to get involved. Good. Don't ask me for shit when time comes. So now they were starting all this and causing a bunch of drama, Bracetto program, everything. That's what their family has their hand in. And creating more, igualum. Unnecessary bullshit and conflict because you're eating out of your ass and you're saying that it's knowledge. Igualum. I mean, show you right, show you right. So now Seven of Swords. But you can't necessarily say that's Aquarius, like just because the card is an air's card. How do you know it's the air card? Right? Because when you have the major arcana and the minor arcana, swords is the suite of air. So that's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, but again, floating points, right? So I'm just going to show this because this is going to make it all around the lake and it's going to get people set up. So if that goes off in my ear one more time, I'm going to go ahead and activate your ops. Do you hear me? And you know exactly how I'm going to do that. Let me just do it now. Thank you. And oh, the funny thing, Aquarius rules over the 11th house of groups. Revolutionary thought, the higher mind, spirituality. Ooh, her page told on her, baby. Be careful. Woo, because isn't that how we caught a serial killer? Because his whole chart was filled with like nonsensical Aries. So, swords, Aquarius, the Seven of Swords, the Six of Swords, and the Five of Swords. So if it was like the Ten of Swords, the Eight of Swords, or Nine of Swords, that's Gemini. I would have been like, nah. But it's specifically Aquarius. Do you see what I'm talking about? Now, someone said, how do you know she's an Aquarius? Because she put it on her page. And people be getting set up. Whew. This year, I'm so blessed to be celebrating my birthday as a mother. Whoa. Yeah, the baby, this dog is casting so much spell work. Ooh, she's casting so much magic. She's the one that set her up in the first place. Okay, okay, I help. I'll fight in the war. I miss my body. She's talking from space now because we've called her this high priestess. Let me see. Hi, Coco. I had a dog named Coco. That's not statistically significant here. But Coco, she said, yes. Coco, are you a priest or a priestess? I'm a priestess. Her voice is so fucking cute. Coco, do you want to tell us what happened in this household? She said, I died. That's what happened. Coco, why are you being so quiet? You don't have any tools or tips? I will tell the authorities when they ask. Didn't I tell you read this and read that? She will. This dog is going to go ahead and tell you guys have no idea these animals in space have a higher consciousness. So you really don't understand that you guys are eating meat and eating moieties, basically. You guys are eating meat and playing with these animals and you're playing with seafood trafficking. Yikes. And they have like crazy spell work that they play with. Baby, all those chihuahuas have started wars in the cartel. Get them out of your house. So oh, Coco, I'm sorry you lost your body. She said, I'm in a good place. I'm in space. I don't really have much to say. I'm going to wait for people to come and ask me. Yeah, because I'm telling you, this is going to start a war because these investigators have found out, oh, this is being ran from space. Let me go ask this animal. Whoa, she has a dog in the house. Let's go use the animal for spy magic. And they put magic on the animal and play like that. Some people didn't know that these animals can talk and things like that. And they have higher consciousness because space and the many worlds, it's like basically like many worlds theory where like you just don't exist on planet earth, you exist in several different dimensions, but and there's like something that's like consistent throughout all those bodies, which is a piece of DNA that connects you between one body to another, one higher self to another, etc. Right, but the many worlds is what's happening here. Many worlds, it's like quantum physics, quantum mechanics, right? So and look at the animals right here. So you exist in other places. And this is like the difference between people that are created and people that are, have an original body, right? So when you have an original form, which is going to come up again, because everyone in the police and everything like that, they're flexing like, oh, I know where I'm from. I'm from the Mayan Aztec Empire. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know who I am. And you're trafficking people's kids. And the only reason you wanted to clout chase is because you saw the power in it. Like, oh, wow, I don't know about that. And I didn't know about this. And you can do this and you can do that. But you don't have any of it because you're trafficking people's kids and you're starting shit. Why? Because in your mind is England. Right. So then now what's going to happen is people are going to start to say, oh, you know what? I want to get like closer to my higher self because I see that there's a benefit in it. And people are going to start to learn the difference between an original, right, and one that's created. Now, you see Palestinians, they're originals. Certain ethnic groups on the planet, they're originals. And then there's karmics that are created. And who are they created by? A damned octopus that's cursed because they started slavery using their tyrosine and their melanin to play and make bodies. A flower that gave up her rotation and gave up some of her like pollen in her like body eggs to build different females and things like that. And that's really what I just wanted to tell you guys about this nonsense that we discovered in LA and who was playing with the cartel the whole time, because people are going to look into their family and they're going to find a long line of drama and fuckery and chaos. And that's so out of control. And Kendrick Lamar in games, there's so many games playing with Drake on 3 different occasions. And now you see why everyone is like, now you see why like this had gotten started and why a lot of the rappers, they just didn't say anything to anybody because they knew that there had to be like a major exposure of all the people that started this and caused all this like chaos. So that's what I have for you guys for tonight. Okay, I hope you guys enjoy.